Okay, the sick colony is pretty much down to the final, I don't know, 50, let's see, where are they? Not many live bees left, so I'm going to collect most of them for future analysis. You can see the top of the frames here, there is some feces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect some of that for testing. I'm going to test inside the clean frames because I'm just trying to figure out how they go from 10,000 bees to nothing in less than a month and a half. So there is a transmission of some type of the disease that accelerates in April. Because the thing you need to remember is the infection cycle is about 21 days. So that means that not too long after the 21 days of it getting infected, that bee is likely dead. So just trying to figure out how they transmit stuff. And so I do want to take swabs of clean cells just to see if it has to do with housekeeping. So take swabs, so basically use a Q-tips with warm water and just clean the inside of the cell. Just take some water out of it and see what happens there. And then that dirty slatted rack there, I'll take some samples off of that. And then I've got the bottom box right there. And what I'll do for control is I've got another box here with frames from another colony. So what I'll do is I'll take some swabs from a clean colony and just see if I can find anything. So anyways, just my continuing adventure trying to figure out what's going on. Cheers. Okay, so I collected most of the bees. I'll leave a bit there for later. Notice here there's a little queen cell that opened up. So when I was collecting those bees, I guess there was a virgin queen in there, so she couldn't have been mated because she's been basically I blocked the entrance off. So basically I've got a little queen, so I can check to see if the queen is actually infected. And right beside there was a cell with a pupa inside. So I'll be able to test the pupa to see about things. And you can see how the feces right now is yellow. So I guess I'll take a sample of that poop that's there and see what's in it. So a couple pupa left there, so I'll probably collect that. But anyways, it's let's see what we find. Okay, so I've got two pupa or pupae from the sick colony. In the other blue vial in the freezer right now, I've got I guess a virgin queen that I'll be testing. I've got, so this is just a swab from inside a cell in the infected colony. This is some honey from the infected colony. These are scrapings of feces off the frames, infected colony. This is off a pollen frame in the infected colony. There were bees around it, and you can see they were eating it, so I'll inspect that. And then this one here is, you can see on top there's some fresh feces from one of the bees. It's kind of yellowish, which is interesting because usually it's a bit darker, but yeah, so I'll test that. Over here I've got scrapings from a clean colony or a healthy colony, so it's feces. And then this here, you can see it's a folded Q-tips where both ends were soaked and scrubbed inside a cell of a non-sick hive, just to see if I can see anything on that. So I'll test these first, and then by then the queen should be frozen and I can test her out. Okay, this here is from a, I guess, hypothetically clean colony, and it was feces off of a frame that I had in my spares, things that I would have put in a colony. So you can see that over here, these things. So those are amoeba spores, and then amoeba spores, and then the rice grains are Nosema. And if you zoom around, you'll see it's pretty much everywhere. So I will have to quarantine some of my frames. It's actually pretty easy to test. You just take a little scraping, put a bit of water on it, and then put it on a slide, and then you can check. So yeah, don't even have to concentrate it. It's pretty evident that poo is infected with amoeba and nosema, so it puts my bees at risk. So what I'm going to do now is I'll probably sample more of my clean frames, because this is what I need to get rid of to get rid of this issue in my bee yards. So I actually have to remove the triggers, what is infecting my colonies, and I believe this is it here. Okay, so I've got 4 bees. This one over here on the left, that's that young queen. It's a virgin. So what I want to do is just see if she looks freshly emerged. The little cell was uncapped. The last time I was in there was probably a week ago or more. So yeah, so I just let them thaw, and the other 3 are right there. So what I'm going to do, let them thaw. They shouldn't revive, and then I'll put their guts on some slides and I'll have a look at them. So as you can see, I collected a bunch more. I'll just put it back in the freezer. They're nice and dry, so they're easy to handle, and they dissect really well. So that's for science. I'm just going to practice dissecting a few more bees. These are the ones I just grabbed. So first thing you do is grab it by the thorax, and you're going to pull the head off. It's good to practice to have just a little container of some type to put the bee pieces in. So next step is I try to grab it from pretty much where the head goes. Oops. And then you pinch it. There we go. Pinch it by the body like that. So I'll move the camera a bit. And now you just try to grab it by, I think it's the 2nd or 3rd platelet. And nope, their poo come out. And then you try to pull it apart. And if things go well, it pulls apart. But this one didn't pull apart, so I'll have to do it manually. So see if I can grab it. There we go. So what I'm trying to do is grab the midgut like that. And I'm going to put that on the slide. Oops, it's coming apart. And then I'll grab the ileum. And I'll put that on the slide there. Don't need this anymore. I don't want too much feces on there. But it happens. Because these are really sick bees, so I'm going to have to clean my instruments. But what I'll do is I'll put a drop of glycerin / Elmer's glue / borax water, and that's just to preserve it. And then what I'll do is I'll put a cover slip on, and I'll push it down. And in there I have the the midgut, and another part of it, the ileum, is over there, and there's a bit of feces in there, so it's not too bad. I'll just grab one of these lens wipes and just clean my tips. I'll do another bee, and just looking at the color there, it very likely going to be positive on everything. So let's grab, I'll save the queen for the next one, so I'll do that. So I'll grab another worker bee, pull the head off, grab it by the inside of the thorax, and then we're trying to pull it apart. These are not, oh, there we go. I got the crop there. So I've got the crop. The crop is usually nothing interesting on it. So you can see how it's just a drop. Oops. A drop of nectar looking stuff. Okay. Let's pull this gut apart. And it's pretty much falling apart. So I'll put a bit of that on there. And yeah. Their insides pretty much basically fall apart. Has nothing to do with me freezing this bee. It hasn't even been frozen for more than half an hour or so. It's that's what kills these things, is they pretty much, their whole digestive system just falls apart. We'll put a drop, and then we'll do a bit of observing. Like that. So, and again, the reason I do that is sometimes I get some really nice, what you call it, samples. And then I've got some nice reference slides. So this one actually looks pretty good. There's not much feces in there, so it's a nice clean sample. So let's put that on there so the bee, in case it wakes up, doesn't fly off. And I'll move these into the garbage like that. And should be good. Okay, so this is just I'm at times 40, so 400 magnification. So you can see this is a Malpighian tubule, and then you can see all these cysts, these marble-like objects in the middle there. So that's where the amoeba develops. And then here, these are just pockets of Nosema. So the gut stuff came out. So a lot of times you just have to scroll around and look, and sometimes you'll see. So this is probably a late stage. So it's from day 19 to probably 21. The guts were pretty much shot, meaning they were coming apart. So this bee was on its last legs. And then if I just go back to higher res, actually lower res, so you can see the tubules there. This is parts of the midgut, I believe. But don't worry about the scale there, because I changed magnification. But so this here is the mag tube, and usually there's a lot more. But like I said, when I was moving around, basically the interior was just falling apart. So basically you've got the dark ones here, those are tracheal tubes. So that's how they move oxygen to their muscles. And so yeah, so I did check the first bee already. So that one there had severe nosema with the odd amoeba spores in its, I guess, gut content. The tubules did look kind of irritated, but it's kind of hard. I'm not a I'm learning this stuff. I'm pretty good at seeing things I've never seen before. So yeah, so that's 2 for 2 for Nosema, and pretty much 2 for 2 for Amoeba. And I'll do 2 more bees in the queen. Okay, here's another bee, pretty much right away. So instead of using the Elmer's glue, I just used a drop of water, and clearly you can see the infected tubules. So, and yeah, it's full of Nosema. So if we just, I'll scroll over to the side here, and then you'll see how much Nosema. You can see all those rice grains there. This is a zoomed in version, but it's quite crazy. So again, this one here, the bee's gut was just falling apart. So if I basically, when you're focusing, you're actually slicing the what you're looking at. So I'll just move that over. I'll zoom out a bit. But you can see how basically it's another infected bee, so it's pretty much 3 for 3 on both Nosema and whatchamacallit, and Amoeba. So if we zoom out, let's we'll scroll around. You'll be able to see a bunch of little tubules there, but so you can see them over here, and I guess on my resolution I can see. So I typically start, if it's nice and clear like that, you can see the tubules here are all infected with amoeba, and then the gut content on the side here is just full of Nosema spores. And you can see the spaghetti looking stuff, those are all tubules. And what you do is you play with the light, and so yeah, so you can see the little balls there. So it's another bee towards the end of the disease cycle, so I probably got infected, I would say 20 some days ago. There's some gut content. So the one thing I do notice is these excretion here. So I did find these dark spots in the tubules themselves. So it's because these are pollens, so you can see how they're not digested yet, and these things here are things that I believe are coming from the tubules. So the kidney stones, or the tubule stones I was seeing, were like that, and they were all over inside the tubules. So I guess it might be a precursor to some type of immune response, and then eventually they flush out into the gut content. So yeah, but there's not many mentors out there on this stuff, so most of it is learn as you go. So what I'll do is I'll go zoom on it, and you'll see how they're actually quite crystalline in nature. So a bunch of Nosema on the bottom there, and the gut you can see, and then it's a bit more light, so you can see how, yeah, it's hard to tell there, but like I said, it's the same stuff I was finding inside the tubules. And there's some pollen crystals there, or pollen grains, sorry. And now we're in the tubules again, and you can see how if I go in and out, you see those little cysts inside the tubules. And I guess it's becoming pretty obvious. So if I zoom around, you can see this is at what is it, 100 times, and now the cysts are in the feces and they've ejected, so they're all over the place. So pretty much again, this bee is at its end of life, and now it's very infectious, so its poo will be just massively filled with these cysts. And so yeah, you can see that the tubules still have a few in it, but most of them have ejected. That is amoeba infection. So imagine that being your kidneys and being full of these marbles, pretty much stopping the function of it. So anyways, it's and the more you look at, if you do have a microscope, the more you use it, the more you look at stuff, the more you'll start noticing differences. So and the more, even by looking at the feces, you can tell if it's infected or not.